DM Live TV, your number one digital channel for business, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Welcome to this week's episode on DM Live TV. In this episode, you are going to encounter a lawyer who is going to educate you how to set up legally for your startup or your business. Pay attention as you learn on some very important key factors such as purpose, outcome, and agenda for every meeting that you set out to do. So keep it locked on DM Live TV, your number one station for business, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another episode on DM Live TV, and today I have the privilege. This time I'm hosting a lady, and I think this is going to be very interesting because I've known her for about a year, or slightly more, and I find her to be one of the most interesting people that I've encountered. But well, not too much hype. I'll let her talk for herself. And so I'd like to introduce you to Mary. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Mary. How you doing?
Good. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. Mm-hmm. Well, finally, we've talked about this for a couple months now. Yeah.
I think the first time we met, we actually spoke about it.
Yes.
And we spoke about, that would be nice to kind of come.
Yes, and
then let's do something else.
That's true.
Good timing.
Good timing indeed. Yeah? So now you're here.
I'm here.
Yeah. So just tell our viewers who Mary is and what you do, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, quite a very good question. So I am Mary Adoi. What I do, my profession is I am a lawyer, studying Uganda at Makerere. I am a practicing advocate, registered at the bar. What do I do? Someone once, when I worked a few years ago, someone told me, you need to know that you are the business.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different things that you can do, own it, because that is who you are.
Yeah.
So whereas my background is a lawyer, I would say I'm interested in investment, and that's what I've been doing for a little over the last 2 years.
Okay.
And that involves supporting businesses, local businesses, especially SMEs, supporting them to do better and to scale and to grow. That's both. I do take the legal hat for that. Yeah. And there's also business development, work with the finance team. So putting that all together to get a business healthy, whether it's for investment purposes or even for the sake of growth. You may not always be able to get that foreign investment that's floating around, but if you're doing better for yourself, you're able to grow your operations, you're able to increase your cash flow. That's something that I'm very glad to be a part of.
Well,
so that's what I do.
Now that it makes sense that you're on DM Live TV because we stand out for entrepreneurship, business, and innovation. And maybe someone was watching and think, okay, why is there a lawyer on the show today?
Yeah.
Well, now you know why she's here, because you really are passionate. Like, I can feel it from the way you express yourself, that you're passionate about helping businesses, scale and grow, but also from a legal side. But before we get into all that, what inspired you to become a lawyer?
What inspired me to become a lawyer? So I haven't practiced in the traditional way.
Like going to law and putting on all that.
The last time I did that was years ago. I won't tell you how old or young I am, but it was years ago at LDC, Law Development Center. Since then, I have never really entered a courtroom before.
Okay.
So what inspired me to do law, I think in general, what I'm doing is not law specifically, but what inspired me to help businesses was just seeing their struggle. When I did my clerkship in my third year at university, I was working for one of the largest law firms in the country. And we were assigned debt recovery. So it was about the banks would send you a whole chunk of people to call up and then you call them up. And they share all these stories with you. I don't have the money. And you're a young person like that. You're a comfort son.
And you're thinking, okay, what do I do for you?
It's like I was thinking to my dad who's breaking down and asking not to proceed with the process. And that sort of flicked something in my mind about how do you help businesses or help people do better from a legal standpoint? Because say even at the law firm, and simply explain them the process and let them know you can just deposit something, you're helping them. So I don't have to be taking you to court. But as a lawyer, there's a role that I can play to ensure that you do what you're supposed to do and you're able to mitigate whatever risks you've put yourself into. So helping people dig themselves out is, I guess that's what lawyers do, but that's what truly inspired me. Otherwise, being a lawyer was not something that...
it wasn't top of the list.
No, it was more the outcome of what it could do. But that day, first day of law school, a lecturer told us, if you've watched Suits, take that out of your mind. And that's the day I was like, yep, I'm not going to be a lawyer. Then you meet lawyers and you always think it's fancy and it's air conditioned. And it's
very fancy
that's not what it is. For the average lawyer, that's not their story. So that quickly died. But wanting to help people who have dug themselves into something or guide them not to fall into a trap is what I guess aligned with being a lawyer.
So over the past, like you said, over the past 3 years, you've been really helping businesses, doing things around investments and attracting finance and business development and all. So what's been your experience from a lawyer's perspective over the past 3 years in terms of the startup ecosystem and how much, or is there like a huge major need for people to be aware or to have legal knowledge in all these processes? Like how important is that?
So I would say it is very fundamental. Ideally, as a business, one of the things that you're always looking at is, I have this business model. This is what I've set up and this is my dreams, what I want to do. But you need to have a team around you that makes sure that as you do what you want to do, what God plans you to do, you don't fall into different traps. So that could be, you need a finance person who makes sure, your cash flows, you have that particular cash flow, things are working. You have that lawyer who wants to ensure that, are your contracts aligning, your receivables, your credit lines? Can we sort of make sure that they are aligned so that you're not paying out money faster than you're receiving money? So that if there's an issue that, like we're sharing a story, if it's a specific risk that what's the trap that you're falling into, I need to ensure that who else can we throw that to? You're in trouble because this didn't work out. I shouldn't take the blame fully.
Exactly.
So our lawyers help you. And the thing with also with the lawyers, if you don't follow what it is or the legal advice, there's consequences to that. So you can have your licenses revoked. You can have, your contracts will be breached without even knowing certain things are happening. So definitely for that health of your business, to have it legally operating, you do need a lawyer to guide you through the steps. It's not just about compliance. But you get into contracts all the time. I know many people, businesses, you meet and in contracts at all, but you have someone who's able to see it and identify what are the risks were in case something drops. So that's what you need a lawyer for. They're not people who you need to see once a quarter.
Once every 6 months.
No. Engage them. You have that idea running time and say, I want to. So say, you are won't let you do that. Or this is a way we can help structure this transaction. So I would say, as a business, you definitely need a lawyer. If you cannot hire one, at least have a friend. We are always able to. It's a WhatsApp away. But whatever critical decision that you're making, that is going to impact your personal life, your families, because you're putting in their money and things like that. I would say you do need a lawyer to definitely hold your hand. But at the same time, remember, lawyers, they have their big horrors. But lawyers are support staff to businesses. We are not the focal point of it. We are just there to hold your hand and guide you through the process. We are not the focal point.
All right. So, Mary, earlier on you said something about you being the business. And two things come to my mind, when you say that. One is that you can work on the business or in the business. Now, how does it apply to you as an entity, Mary, the lawyer? How do you work on the business and in the business to make sure that you get the results that you need?
So I think for how do I work on Mary on the business? So with businesses, let's say when we have a discussion, we're trying to do better. You sort of have to assess, like I'd say, what are their targets? What are they actually doing? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And I've always loved that there's always an opposite. It's a SWOT analysis. Where there's a strength, there's an opportunity. Or where there's a weakness, there are threats. But it all works itself out. So when working on Mary as the business, say, even if you've been through some employment situations or contracts, and they didn't go as well as they did, you have to realize that this entity still exists. Because we've worked for huge companies that have lost contracts. Does it mean they pack up and leave? No. MTN was being hustled for their license, but they're big boys. Does it mean they pack up and leave? No. So Mary Adoi, when she slips up, does that mean we pack up and leave? No. She's a business. So you assess and analyze. What did I do wrong? What had I planned to do? Where did I fall short? What can I do better? How can I fix it for the next time? Because this business entity is registered, I guess, in heaven or even on earth, it's a registered entity. So we constantly have to work on it the way you work on your business. You bring in the advisors, whether it's therapy or if there's issues with your personal finances, speak to that person. But the things you would do for that entity registered at URSP when it's not doing well, the amount of care you put into it before saying it's bankrupt or before shutting it down. Why would I do that to myself? So that's how I work on Mary as a business. So I know her strengths, I know what she's good at, the different things that define her, I know her brand. So every day as I wake up or interact, I know what message it is that she wants to reflect. And for the times I mess up, either I've assessed, I know this risk we can mitigate, it's okay. Let's take it on. Or that's how I think of Mary as a business. The entity is, until she's 6 feet under, the entity is still running.
Interesting. So how do you make money, Mary?
How do I make money? So the investment space. Also, luckily, being a lawyer, I think I've had other people from other investment firms discuss about where I used to work, why they hired a lawyer as their first employee. And I think I'll forever be grateful to them for the past 3 years as their only employee in Uganda, working with Ethiopia, with Rwanda, US, Canada. And I was not just doing legal work, I was doing the business of it. So yes, I was earning my paycheck, but then that also opened up other avenues. In the meantime, worked with various foreign investors who have been coming in, whether it's from the UK or from Kenya. There's so much knowledge I've been able to get from the employment that I was in. So sharing that was a way to earn a check. As I said, there is a business. So you don't walk into MTN and you're going to just pull out a SIM card or whatever it is. You have to pay for it because I understand the value that I'm creating and I assess what interests you have and I deal with it sort of in a business. So able to make capital like that. Right now I work for a consultancy firm. We are currently supporting businesses. And it's not just about them receiving investment from our networks and the foreign investors, but it's about making the businesses more healthy and ensuring that they, as a business, are taken care of. So we have a large team that I work with. All of us have been within the investment space. The other two have been in Rwanda and Uganda, so there's quite knowledge. And seeing the gap that there exists, there is that mismatch between the interests of the foreign investors who largely have the capital and the local companies that need that capital and that alternative finance that is more affordable. So we've been in that space, being Ugandan, it sort of becomes personal. When you see this business that I use them all the time, but money, why aren't you giving them money? Why risk? You're like, this cannot be it.
I know.
I see them when I go out to the bars or to church. I interact with these businesses. So that's what I'm doing currently. It is paying the bills. It is doing well. But as I say, there's tons of things that Mary does. Money lending. There's just there's a ton of things.
You lend money too.
We do. So there's a ton of things that Mary does as a business. But at the core of it, it is supporting SMEs. not only to position themselves to be able to attract that foreign investment capital that is more affordable or more friendly than the terms you'd have from the commercial banks or from the loan sharks. But also to make them more healthy and enable them to scale and grow for themselves.
Okay, great. Now, as a lawyer, and I know that we have a couple of startup CEOs watching us, what would you say would be the right legal steps to take to ensure that the business is healthy and protected from all these pitfalls that we keep seeing businesses getting into or acquired by other entities because of small things that they missed out on? Is there like a legal formula or a step by step, like this one, do this, two, do this, that you can share?
Well, that's a big question. So first we'll start with, a startup, I assume, these are more of the smaller, the startups are kind of contributing about $10,000, less than 50 grand. So that the basics are get your registration, you need to be registered for your taxes, you don't want URN knocking on your door when that big investor finally comes in and taking more than they should have given you a headache. That is unnecessary. You need to get your licensing right if you are in Kampala with KCC, if you're out country with that municipal. But one thing that is beautiful about Uganda and that many foreign investors or people in the market will attest to is the ease of doing business here. We've worked with Ethiopia and Rwanda where it's a different ballgame, especially Ethiopia, getting money in, getting money out. They need thousands, like licenses to do anything. It's a bit different, but Uganda is very flexible. So get the basics in, whether it's even data privacy. I know most of the startups that, when you speak of startups, most of them are in tech.
Or agri.
Those who are out here looking for most of us in the audience. So I'd say get those basics right, but also understanding governance, corporate governance. That is a very big one. That is something that usually the legal comes in, and that means having a board. Most businesses do not have a board. But what you need, the role of a board is that you have external oversight. It's not just, many people say, I have an uncle who I talk to, a friend who I talk to, but is he accountable to you and are you accountable to him? Because for a board has to say, approve your external auditors. You need to give them the audit report before they have their meeting to review. And without you in the room, or probably if there are a few executive directors, they need to assess and see where you're going. Whereas your uncle, just tell your uncle when things are bad or the budgets are the But you need someone who quarterly is reviewing and looking at these books and saying,
holding you accountable.
And then will give that perspective of the industry, the market, this is what's happening, these are the risks. So you need that. That is one of the starts to guide you. They do have a role that they do play. Then when it comes out also corporate governance, they need to be clear chains of command within your business. So when it starts from employment contracts, I know as startups, you're probably all doing a side hustle. You don't think about those things. But one thing I learned from my previous employer that I see businesses that do well do is you must have systems in place. There must be standardization. It needs to be that even if you're not around, if your main hustle calls you and says, what to go do for 2 days, there needs to be clear steps, have that standard procedures in place that can guide someone else to step in. So those are things we always assume are for companies that are settled, but those are disciplines. Those are key disciplines that if you don't harness them when you're still early, you're not going to when you're bigger.
It gets tougher.
It gets tougher. You're going to have way more things, way more employees. So you need to start that discipline, corporate governance from day one, that board at that management level, at ensuring compliance with these different in your licenses, your annual returns. It's that discipline to sit and look ahead and even look at the market and understand, in this sector, they've introduced this new license. Well, the government is talking about fishing. Or they're saying this, you have your legal process review and say, what is the implication on this? How do I need to prepare myself? So I'll say those are the key things. And one of the other big questions that I get from startups or businesses in general, especially those that are looking to expand with, say, whether it's external capital from investors and having someone coming in.
Yeah.
So that's when we talk about the equity.
That's a major one.
That's a major one.
Yeah, a lot of people, it rattles the boat, when they talk about equity. Like, I'm giving away a share of something that I've built, my own blood and sweat. So how would you advise people to go about that?
So when it comes to equity, I think one of the big things also why our business supports businesses that before you get to the conversation to sell, there's a valuation that is done. So how many assets have you acquired? What have you been able to do? The success doesn't start when the investor comes in. That's the mistake people make. They think they'll sell the dream to the investor and you hold their hand in success. No. You have to have had some track record. There has to be some traction. So you should have had those disciplines. You should have been making
also the disciplines you're talking about.
Yes.
The corporate governance.
It's more impressive because sometimes, yes, there is a good business and the investor will really want it and they'll say, these guys are disorganized. But that's when they'll harbor you. That's when they'll go in and say, you know what, we're getting more shares for this. Or if it's even debt, you're going to have a higher interest rate for this, you have a shorter grace period. If it's equity, your valuation, all those things will sort of impact how much they'll take. But imagine a meeting where you meet me, it's a good business, you're organized, you have everything. What can they tell you? At that point, you ask, what are you bringing to the table?
Yes.
So that's the
conversation. So you know what you're pushing for.
You know what you're pushing for, and you know what you're getting from them, which is very key. And so I think I have a friend who was telling me recently, why do you fight over shares that mean nothing?
True, I mean...
you meet someone and say, you can't take 30%. Like, 30% of what? Of what? What are we? And so I'd say the shareholding thing, you need to understand who your partners are, what the implications are for the big shareholders. So if I started my business with Thomas, who just gave me 10K, but I gave you, or he just helped me register the company, but I gave you 40%. Think about those. Because in 3 years' time, when you sell it, he's still, of course, he's still influencing that transaction that could benefit you. So just understand what the implications are of shareholding. When getting a new partner on board who will be taking some shareholding, understand what value they're bringing. Like for private equity funds, most of them, it's not just about the capital. It's about the expertise, about that technical support, it's about them opening up new markets for you. So if you want to move into Kenya, you want to ask a foreign investor, what businesses have you dealt with in Kenya? Because there's no point in me investing, though I have that 10 million you need. Yet I can't open doors. You may need to reassess that. Do you really need to be making? So to startups, I would advise they need to understand. Don't be afraid to read these things. I just said I hated reading it. Hated it. But I'll pick up that corporate act. And sometimes I do the dumbest thing with Google. I will literally Google a whole question. I want to sell my company. What are the implications? There will be answers.
Of course, Google always has answers.
Google has always answers. So just be informed about, get your corporate governance in check. Ensure you have compliance. But take specific interest when it comes to just shareholding and what that implication is on current shareholders, on the new ones coming. And be excited about the work.
You mentioned systems. Okay. Now, systems is a big word. Okay, it could mean just about anything. But I'd like, from your perspective, what do you mean by systems? Because you say have your systems in place and then be disciplined. So what does that look like? For example, with your consulting firm, what are those systems that are in place there? Even if you were cold or you had to go on holiday for a month and your phone was off, the machine would just keep going. So just maybe expound on that a little bit.
So systems, it comes down to documenting everything you do when you do it right. Or even when you don't do it right, adjusting it. It's as simple as how do we open the office in the morning?
Okay.
What time must we be open?
Yes.
It's writing down the keys are with Cafero. Pick them up between 7 and 7:30. Open. So if there's someone brand new or someone comes late, they're able to know what's missing here.
Yes.
Cafero, open the windows. Put that there because our particular office is heated. You don't want the client to enter and it smells like cattle from the night guard had. So when I tell you it's a small detail to everything, so that just know that list down everything that is done, so that when you're not there, someone else is able to do it. When you're opening up another branch, you're able to just give them a booklet and say, guys, do this. It's like KFC when you go to Dubai, when you go to UK, when you come to Uganda, test the same. It's because they have their book where they say, when you're making our chicken, you first unwrap like this. You don't just cut, because if you cut, the things may fall into the chicken. Then someone gets a thread. For us, ours, you must. And you'll find everyone will. Whether they're in China, it's it's unloadable. It says when it sticks, it's spoiled. So everyone will know. So systems, it's as simple as that.
Okay.
Do everything the way you need it to be done, because it helps you as you scale and as you grow. Because as you grow your business, you're unable to be in all the different places.
That's true.
Like even from things as simple for our business, when it comes to meeting clients, client meetings, how is this done? Is an SOP. How do you prepare? Tell someone meetings should get there 15 minutes earlier. It may seem like it's not, it seems hectic. But imagine if I met for my company, you meet Mary today, meeting is at 10, 9:30 she was there.
Yes.
She asked this. She went through the agenda. What is that? We have something called, we have a POA that I learned. For every meeting, there's a purpose, there's an outcome, there's an agenda. If we don't have those three, where are we meeting? So even if I have purpose, outcome, and agenda. That I learned POA before you schedule a meeting, and I do that even with friends.
Yes.
So with my friends, the purpose, it's making noise, and that's very good. Okay. So when someone random calls me and you ask, "Can we meet?" I say, "For what?" "Well, I can't make noise. I don't trust you. You don't know my weird. You make me get." Or so what's the purpose? Why do you want to meet me? To do what? Are you vibing? Tell me from there. I need to come prepared. So POA. So things like that. So that day, Mary, if you met Mary, you get the same service. If Mary sent in a new intern, you get the same service. If Mary sent in her mother to sit in a family business, you would get the same service. You won't have different people doing what they want, and that reflects on your brand. That's true. On who you are.
Let's repeat that. POA.
POA. Purpose. Outcome. Agenda. That's one of the biggest things that I learned from
I'm learning that now. Okay, so I think, sometimes we do these things even without knowing that we're the purpose, outcome, and agenda. But I think, just hearing it put out like this is something that I'm going to start to do intentionally.
The meetings you leave and you're like, I'd come to do this.
But
you've spent 4 hours and come up, see that black has done this, and you've missed.
So you completely missed the whole point.
Then you've gone to you've even started another business with this person. Now you're into chicken because you say this. But outcome, I came to meet you for this. This. Then we close the deal. Now it's when I talk of systems, it's as simple as there should be standards, there should be quality, and the SOPs are running documented, so you improve them all the time. So a new person comes and thinks, I'm really you're doing this as a company, it's not right. You have come from PwC, do this differently. Like, hey, okay, how? Adjust your SOP. And then everyone else sort of falls in line. And your brand is maintained. Because today you cannot be, they are always smart, they are trustworthy. Then tomorrow, I remember you can trust them some days. Which one has come? You know situations where who is in office? This day I'll find a good nurse or a bad nurse. No. This is how we treat everyone. You go to certain stores and it's good morning.
Yes.
Whether you have no money, whether it's good morning.
It's good. Yes.
So that is systems as simple as that.
Awesome. Well, I think that I've learned some pretty amazing things, and I know our viewers out there definitely have picked a couple of things from the processes and the things they need to look out for, and then of course the systems. And Mary, I don't know if there's something else you'd like to tell our viewers before we can close. This would be Wonderful.
Something else, the pressure. What would I like to say? No, I'm just excited. I think I'm meeting Thomas a while ago. I'm finding people who are passionate about businesses. There's many of us who are out there who are more than happy to have a conversation with you. So do reach out, and definitely just thanks to you. I'm always appreciative when I meet people who are trying to help businesses, because it is a tough time. COVID really hit hard for many businesses, people in their personal lives. So when I find people like you, like my individuals, I'm always excited to have a conversation.
Good. How can people reach you if they need legal help or even just to consult?
Should I leave you my phone number?
You can do.
So my phone number, you can contact me on 0770 771 762. That is my number for MTN. And for my email address, you can reach out to me on maryadoi446@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to have a conversation.
Wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, like she said, should be ready to have a conversation. If you need legal help, if you need business development help, if you need some direction on foreign investment, perhaps you're receiving or you're getting ready to receive, well, Mary is your go-to person, and I'm sure that she'll be able to help you and set you up perfectly. Well, with that, thank you so much, Mary, for being here today. Yeah, and I hope we'll host you again, not too far from now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'll be more than happy to.
And then we'll see. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into our show today. Remember, we're always business entrepreneurship and innovation. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, like, and definitely share because someone else may be waiting to hear sound advice on the show. So thank you, and keep it locked on DM Live TV. Thank you for watching today's episode on DM Live TV. I hope you learned something significant to take away that will improve your business processes legally. Please subscribe, share, comment, and don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and Instagram. All of them with the hashtag @DM Live TV.